What's up, guys? Andy here. Um, so don't have my own part today, but I'm actually gonna help my friend here install this auto start on his 2018 Jeep Willys. It's a sweet ride. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and hopefully it gives you another option if you guys want to do an auto start. So just a FYI, when you guys are taking out the screws underneath the dash right here, it's actually pretty long. It may not look like it, but your traditional size screwdriver right here is not long enough. So this right here was long enough. So I just put this here. You guys can compare. It's a size T20 torque. Okay. So make sure you guys have the right tools, or else this install will be much more painful. Alright, so the second step after taking the screws out, the three torque screws, is you have to loosen this bottom column here on the steering wheel. Now, it took me and my friend a good, I don't know, say maybe 15 minutes messing with this thing to actually pry it off. And I would say 14 of those minutes is because we're just really trying to be careful not to break anything. But if you can see here, it's really only two plastic tabs that's holding it the back end, which was where it gave us trouble. And honestly, you can just pull straight down from it. So you don't have to be too careful as long as you're just pulling straight. All right, so now that we got the bottom loose, the next part of this is actually getting the bottom piece away from the actual steering wheel. So this part is a little tricky for the 16s and 17 models. You're supposed to get something underneath here. They recommend putty knives or a putty spreader and kind of separate it. So we'll see what happens. Well, first, we put a condom over the putty spreader so that we don't scratch the plastic. Even though the putty spreader is plastic, we don't want to mess up this beautiful machine. Does he got it? He doesn't got it. I'm not sure if he knows what he's doing. But it looks like he does. No. Alright, let's get the Asian guy in there. Let's see if he can figure it out. Bend the plastic enough, really to push it, get part of that neck out. And then the rest. Alright, so the Asian guy couldn't do it either. So we're back to the Colombian. Yeah, we're going back and forth with this thing. It's been about a good, say, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's still not budging. And it's the bottom piece, the hardest part of this install. So we'll keep at it, and hopefully we'll find a way to do it. Even with the tutorials and everything on YouTube and their webpage and everything, it's still pretty difficult. So wish us luck. All right, so about, I don't know how many attempts, and a good 30 to 40 minutes later, we finally got it down. So how did we did it was, well, first we try to remove this lip right here from the rubber ring around or behind the steering wheel. So in order for to do that, we had to pry it down. We did use these plastic plugging knives, and as you can see, they put a good damage into it. But the benefit from that is we're not scratching the plastic of the trim here. So it took both of us, and it took two of these, one on each side. And how I did it was I actually came down from behind the steering wheel this way to get it wedged in between here, and then I just moved it in a circle. Basically what you're aiming for is to get the top two pieces here away from the steering wheel, so that way you can just pry from the bottom here, use something with kind of leverage, push down, and then it just fell down. So there is some manhandling with it, and yeah, so fun times. That was the hard part, so now on to the easy part. Alright, so these are the components, the wiring harness and the actual module itself. This is for, I'm assuming it's for different vehicles. This is a universal kit, and from what it looks like for the Wrangler, we don't need this. Now, some of the other Wranglers with this wiring harness, there's an additional purple one where it says you have to cut, but we don't think we have to cut it on this one, so we're just gonna plug it all up first to see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we'll cut it and we'll give it a shot from there. Okay, so this is what you're looking at right here, this black box, the only black box there on that side. So we got to remove that and plug in the wiring harness to it.
Room's a little tight.
Okay, so with a little bit of persuasion here and about another 15 minutes, we finally got that plug out. Again, just trying to be very careful not to break anything, especially that part. They say this part is pretty fragile, so we weren't trying any crazy. We couldn't get it off with our fingers. As you saw there, we had to use any of those pliers there to help us get some grip. And again, there's really not that much room here, so just be careful, guys. Okay, so we just got done inserting these two plugs here to the main immobilizer. The rest of the harness should be plugging up to the module. Now the instruction says we have to hold down the top button right there. We're gonna hold it down and plug in the 4-pin connector, and then we have to wait for it the lights to cycle right here. Now the instruction says to wait for it to turn blue. Now we sat here for a minute trying to see if it's supposed to turn automatic solid blue by itself, but then re-looking at the instructions, you do not. So once it gets to that stage right there, you release the button, and then after this, you just plug in the rest of the connectors. Okay, so that was the first part of the programming process. Now we're gonna finish the rest of the program. So the instruction says to insert the key in the ignition, and you're gonna choose to the run position, 2 clicks. Once you do that, the blue LED light should flash. It doesn't say or state how long you have to wait, so I give it about maybe 5 seconds. So once it's done flashing, you take the key out. It should still stay flashing, and then with your OEM remote, you're supposed to hit the lock button, and then once you do that, all the lights should shut off, and that's it. Now let's see if this thing works. All right, so that just took us about over an hour to do. It's a moment of truth. Let's see if this thing works. It works. All right.